hard on your internal organs. Welcome to constipation, right? Hey everyone, good morning. As you can see, I'm on the road again. Driving to Houston. I'm about an hour out from Austin, where I live. So it's about a 3-hour drive. I'm gonna make this drive once, I guess you could say I make it twice a week, right there and back. Drive usually down on a Wednesday or a Thursday, and then I'll stay the night and then come back Thursday, Friday. So it's not, it's a good drive. It gives me time to think, listen to podcasts, books, and just be alone with my thoughts. She was talking about one specific thing with my wife yesterday. When I was first starting my fitness journey, especially starting out my career, also being a family man, I was getting pretty busy. But there was one specific message that always came through from all the media influencers that I followed. The phrase was eat, train, sleep, right? Nothing new, right? It's essentially, the idea is if you want to get results in fitness, you need to eat, train, and sleep, right? That makes sense. Okay. Thinking where my mind was at when I was in my early 20s and how I would kind of interpret that has changed quite a bit, going closer to 40 now. There's a lot of nuances in those 3 pillars of fitness, right? Your diet, eating, what you're putting into your body, your training as far as frequency, volume, intensity, progressive overload, and sleep, right? And I think that's probably the one that's neglected the most, especially as a corporate professional, right? If you're working, if you're a dad, life's busy, right? If you're a corporate professional, you get it. And sometimes those 3 pillars I've seen in my journey, growth is not linear in any pursuit. I've seen that my focus on any of those 3 pillars has changed more like a roller coaster throughout the years, right? But I didn't want to dive into a couple of the nuances, which I call the 3 pillars of fitness and what I use as a corporate professional, and more specifically to focus on the eat part. Eating is essentially 3 things. Like, what does that mean? Most people want to say, like, oh, I need to eat properly, especially like in the bro science, right? They think, oh, I need to get my protein in, which is totally true, right? Based on your genetics and your physical activity, you want to eat anywhere from 0.5 to 1 gram protein per pound of body weight. That's nothing new, right? You hear that everywhere. I will say that I think a lot of times there are a lot of people that overdo it on the protein side, thinking that more protein is better. More is not always better, as I've come to find out, especially when it comes to eating. The thing is, if you overeat protein, let's talk about long-term effects, because think about corporate consistency, right? That's kind of my view on fitness, right? Longevity. I overeat protein too much every day. Like, I've seen these bodybuilder diets where they're eating like 200, 300 plus grams of protein per day. And that is really hard on your digestive system, really hard on your internal organs. Welcome to constipation, right? If you're eating that much protein every single day. I'm not saying there are days where I haven't had like 200 grams of protein, just because that's what's available to me, but that is not my goal or what I consistently try to shoot for. I'm usually shooting about 0.9 to a gram, because a lot of times when we set a goal, right, a lot of times we don't always hit exactly there. But if you consistently shoot for that, you're going to average out over time. So that's what I usually shoot for. But if you're eating so much protein, it's really hard on your kidneys. You see a lot of fitness people having a problem with their kidneys and their livers because their bodies those organs work really hard in the digestion and processing of protein. But I'm going to say a little more as far as the 3 things within diet or within that eating pillar, right? I would say first is calories. The phrase I always use with calories is how much you weigh. Then there's macronutrients, right? Your proteins, your carbohydrates, your fats. Those determine how you look. I think the one that is not talked about enough in this fitness industry is micronutrients, right? Vitamins, minerals. I think one specific I'm going to talk about is a fiber, right? That is one thing that I know a lot of people that are striving to gain muscle just don't get enough of, and they plug themselves up, they destroy their gut health, and they're not digesting their food properly. I've talked about this in other videos, but you want to try it based on, if you're male or female and some genetic components in there, try to shoot between 25 and 35 grams of fiber per day. But you want those dialed in. Now, those 3 sub-pillars within the pillar of eating, right? Again, calories, macros, micros. How those are dialed in is obviously going into a more individual framework as far as what are your goals, what are you trying to accomplish. Just give you kind of like what I do and what I shoot for, again, as a corporate professional. And you guys have seen what I look like, again, just to give you guys my stats. I'm 5'10", I'll say 5'11", right, rounding up with shoes up, with if I have corporate shoes on, right? But 5'10", 10 and a half is where I sit. And my weight fluctuates, obviously on hydration, but I'm probably about 165 solid. If I'm overeating, I've seen myself closer to 168, 169, 170. The heaviest I ever was about 175, but I was just eating too much. This is my younger years where I was really trying to, bulk up and follow the trend back of the bro science, right? Just bulk. And it just didn't work for me, to be honest with you. I didn't like how I felt, I should say. I'm not saying bulking doesn't work, but I don't think it's as effective as people make it out to be. But 165-ish is where I fall. So that's what I usually shoot for, right? I usually shoot for between 150 and 165 grams of protein per day. And then when I hit that, I make sure, I don't actually, to be honest with you guys, now we go into carbohydrates and fats. I do have a very carb heavy diet, right? Because I eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. Now some people diminish, kind of put down carbs. Again, I don't understand why, because again, you need energy, right? You can use fat as energy, but fat takes up more calories, and so I'm eating less. You can eat more volume if you eat more carbohydrate heavy diet once you hit your protein goals. Protein is 4 calories, so you do 4 times 165, right? So doing the math on that, I'm terrible at math in my head. I do a lot of estimations in my head, right? So our calories, what I'm shooting for, my macros, kind of how I shoot for it. Again, these are kind of hacks, right, guys? Like I do this, and I've been doing this for 13 plus years, right? I did track quite a bit. People always ask me if they're starting out, especially if you're a corporate professional, you're super busy. Writing things down is super helpful. Now, once you get into the habit and start understanding, intuitive, I'm against intuitive eating, especially when you're starting out, because you just don't know your body yet. And it took me, and I'm just saying this, like, I am still learning my body, because our body's always changing, right, as we get older. To make sure you're actually maintaining a certain body weight, maintaining a certain composition, or that your composition's actually changing. More in the maintenance phase, you're like, okay, I'm happy with the way I look. I know I'm not going for any substantial changes right now. Then that's where I think estimation comes in, can help speed up things, especially because I'm saying, okay, a fruit, an apple, banana, orange, if I'm eating that, more or less it's 100 calories, right? Just kind of having those estimations in your head and having a consistent diet. But I'm a big believer in tracking, especially starting out, so you can really understand your set point, right? I think this all depends on who you are, where you're at, and where you're trying to go. But yeah, tracking those things. So one thing that what I did, especially starting out in my fitness journey, and I still log this to this day if I'm actually shooting for a different goal, as I use a little log sheet to log those three sub pillars within the eating consistency pillar: your calories, your macros, and then going into micros. I just want to make sure, like most of the time, if you're hitting fiber, right, and that's coming from fruits and vegetables, you're going to be hitting your micros, right? Your vitamin A's, B's, D's, the magnesiums, the zincs. And one thing that I highly recommend, if you're not already doing it, is take a multivitamin. I've shown those on my channel before, as far as the vitamins I take. You don't have to take a fancy vitamin. I've taken different brands throughout my life, and I haven't felt a super big difference as far as the way that I feel. Right now I just go to H-E-B and buy the vitamins for men over 50. Now I've done the research on that. It's not, I'm not 50 obviously necessarily, especially in the day and age that we live in, where there's a lot more GMO foods, foods that are processed, that I believe that the micronutrients found in are less, not as close to what maybe science is telling us we need, as far as like, oh yeah, an apple, you consume this, you're gonna get this amount of fiber, right? So I try to underestimate those things. Well, my point is, get a multivitamin. That way you're hitting your micros to some degree. One hack that I do on the road, it's a lot easier because I'm sedentary, right? I'm not moving. I'm just sitting here for 3 hours. So what I usually do, especially, I do a little bit of intermittent fasting. I used to be very consistent and miss breakfast. I just wanted to make a different change, put my calories in a different part of the day, just to help me out, especially because since when I travel, I can't hit the gym till the evening, right? And I don't want to put a bunch of excess calories into my body just right as I wake up. So I don't eat, right? I have some electrolytes, and that's all I really have in the morning for driving. So I skip breakfast on the days that I know that I'm driving or taking these long trips for work. I don't eat, right? And maybe that's harder or easier for you guys. Again, my hack here, if you can see here, I have my shaker, is electrolytes, right? And I fill it up with water. I have to pee every like 30 minutes, but it helps keep you full, because the reality is I don't need food. Your body, sometimes when we're bored, our body just like, oh, I want something to eat, and ghrelin kicks in and just wants you, hey, you should eat something. You're not doing anything, right? Again, another thing, if you are traveling for work, recommend podcasts, right? If you like that type of stuff. I'm not a huge music guy. I like listening to podcasts and different, I also, as you guys know, I'm a spiritual person, so I like to listen to scriptures on the road. So those type of things distract my brain from thinking that I'm hungry, because I'm really not. And also something that I do, whether sometimes it's on purpose, sometimes it's on accident. This time it was on purpose. So last night we had a little bit of a heavier dinner as a family. My wife made this yummy egg skillet, right? So she put a skillet of like 15 eggs mixed with a bunch of potatoes, different spices in there, with some sourdough bread. I actually skipped the bread. I don't like to eat the bread, but see that I ate quite a bit of that. Eggs are, they're a good source of protein, but they're actually, the macros are not great in eggs, but I will eat them, right? Make sure my calories are on point. But yeah, I had a little bit of a heavier dinner, so I was probably at about a 400, 500 surplus from yesterday. So skipping breakfast helps me balance that back out. And if you're going to travel for work, or you're going to be on the road, try to have heavier calorie meals the day before that, and then just stock up on water, stock up on electrolytes, right? You don't need food in the morning, calories from the night before, and you're just sitting here, right? Your body's just bored. So let's hit trick and hack from Skylar today. A couple diets, but I want to go on that diet pillar, the eating pillar, right, of fitness. I'll probably dedicate a couple more conversations to the other two, of training and sleep, right? These things, some different tricks and hacks I do within those pillars. I want to share with you guys, like, again, tracking is everything, right? Especially when you're busy. Do this, like, I take notes on everything. I write everything down. I'm a big planner. What I'll do, include down in the description here. It's free. It's just an eating pillar tracker, right? So your goal, you'll be able to put your goal of what your calories are, what you want to hit every day, what your macros are, your protein, your carbohydrates, and your fats, and then micronutrients as far as your daily intake according to your age. Again, that's not hard to hit, guys. In my opinion, micros are not hard to hit if you focus your diet on protein, focus on carbohydrates in terms of hitting fiber from fruits and vegetables, and then take a multivitamin, and you'll be just fine on your micros. That is my view. Anyways, I'll include that down in the description below. Feel free to download it. It's free. I'm going to continue my drive here. Hope you guys have a great day. Keep learning, keep growing, and we will see you guys next time.